with me this morning from Roskill here in the studio. I'm joined by Kerry Satterthwaite. Kerry, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning.
You've had your big salt report out recently. Tell me a little bit more about what's driving the global salt market.
Well, globally, it's really driven by Asia. Asia's by far the largest market. So I'd say the whole world market is really driven by China's requirement for salt for the chlor-alkali industry. So that's the largest market. But also a significant market is the North American and Northern European de-icing salt market. So that's a smaller market, but it's very resilient in times of economic uncertainty, which means it's a relevant market at the moment. It's not driven by economic trends at all. It's completely independent of economic trends. It's also the largest market in North America, which is where we're having our salt conference next May. So this new conference, we're basing it in Toronto because bizarrely Canada has the largest per capita consumption of salt. Canadians have a very large per capita consumption of salt because of de-icing salt, road salt.
Well, on that, tell me a bit more about the applications.
The major applications are chlor-alkali. That's the largest application in the whole world, about 36% of the market. The whole market is about 342 million tonnes of salt per year. So the second largest market is synthetic soda ash. So both those markets are really construction-led. So the growth in those markets is slowing quite considerably at the moment. Also because obviously the market is dominated by Chinese demand for salt. So it's both markets are showing a slower forecast out to 2028, which is the period that the new report is forecasting, than previously expected because of the slowdown in construction in China.
And salt trading, that's been at record levels.
Yes, it's continuing to break all records actually, which is really interesting. I think I looked at the salt trade data this morning. I think it was up to about 80 million tonnes of trade exports in salt this year, for 2019, the full year. So obviously we don't have the full data yet, but it's interesting to see it's still ticking up. And that trade is driven by the increased demand, and also because shipping rates are very low, historically quite low at the moment. But that's about to change on the 1st of January. There are new shipping regulations coming in, which are to do with the sulfur levels in shipping fuel, the IMO 2020 regulations that you've probably heard about from other commodities. So we're expecting that shipping rates will increase. So the opportunistic trade for salt across the Atlantic, for example, meeting the needs of the North American road salt consumers, that might be compromised if the shipping rates are increased next year.
Right. Just a bit earlier, you mentioned this conference that you've got coming up next year. Are you expecting salt trading and salt trends to be a big feature of that?
Yes, that's one of the key themes, trade in salt, and it's an international conference, although it's based in Toronto, and we're hoping lots of North Americans will be interested in coming. It's also an international conference. I'm meeting a Chinese legal expert later today to discuss her paper about the Chinese law concerning trade in salt going into China. Again, because China is the second largest importer, largest producer.
And you and I were chatting just before we started recording, talking about the salt report, which you've just released in the last week or so.
Yes.
It's one of your top sellers, if you like. It's one of the big popular ones. What is it about salt that's getting people interested?
I think it's because of Roskill's reputation, actually. We've been in the business for 90 years as an independent company. We're completely independent, so our opinions are not influenced by any outside interests and we value that very much. Our independence is one of the pillars of our reputation. So our reputation in salt is hopefully very high, and that underpins our sales of the salt report, which comes out every November.
As far as salt itself is concerned, do people realise just how widespread the applications are and just how important it is?
I don't think so. I mean, it's one of a number of industrial minerals that we cover. I head up the industrial minerals division at Roskill. There are a number of minerals that we speak about the markets for that aren't really covered by any other consulting companies.
Right.
So you spoke to my colleague Adam last week about fluorspar. Fluorspar is often overlooked as a battery mineral. I mean, it's a strategic mineral. People don't realise it's used in batteries, so lithium gets all the attention, but there are a number of other niche minerals that are used in these fast-growing applications. So, but not salt.
Not salt, yet.
Yet.
Good to see you, Kerry. Thanks very much.
Great to see you. Thank you very much.